What's cracking? What is cracking? How's everyone doing? How is everyone doing?
Outside of Dragon, you do see one of those stretchers. This is the expected procedure as the crew will be taken to medical facilities following their exit from Dragon.
It's funny how they narrate everything. This is so fake. This narrating everything that's part of their little scam. Narrating everything. Everything. Right now, we're taking the such and such thing off of the whatever thing, and we're shut up.
We can see folks on board clapping as our first crew member.
And that is NASA.
It's so funny, man. You say, why bother watching? Because it's comedy, man. It's pure comedy, man. I'll get back to that later, though, man. We'll watch that later on, man. It's pure comedy, man. Pure comedy. Pure comedy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for WREG News Channel 3 at 3 p.m. I'm Alex Coleman. We do appreciate you being here with us. We have a lot to cover this afternoon, but first, topping our headlines today. After being denied for a bond reduction last week, the suspect, who police say is responsible for killing a beloved pastor in Frayser, faces a judge again today. In court, one of Samantha Marion's attorneys told the judge that she would post bond by the end of the day. However, the court could not proceed today due to a conflict of interest. District Attorney Steve Mulroy had worked with Pastor Ricky Floyd. Because of that relationship, his office is stepping back.
There could be perception out there that they were friends, and to avoid any appearance of impropriety, he decided it'd be best to recuse ourselves to avoid any possible conflict of interest.
Mr. Cody.
The case will now go up to the Commission of District Attorneys, and they will appoint someone in the state. Meanwhile, Marion's attorneys still say the suspect and the victim did not know each other.
A statement like this is a senseless act of violence that we're talking about. It does not describe what happened. This was a person that was absolutely 100% defended themselves against a perfect stranger that she'd known for probably 40 minutes tops.
By the way, Marion's next report date is tomorrow.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Wow.
Good afternoon, everyone. And
breaking now on the news at 6, the woman accused in the deadly shooting of Pastor Ricky Floyd is out of jail. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Hurst.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. It's been nearly a week since Memphis police say Samantha Marion killed the pastor outside of a South Memphis bar and restaurant. WREG's Raven Copeland joins us live from the Shelby County East Women's Jail facility. And Raven, tell us what happened out there.
Good evening, Greg and Stephanie. Samantha Marion was released from jail a little after 5 o'clock today. She was wearing a blue shirt and jeans. A man was also walking with her to the truck. Now, Samantha Marion's release is happening almost a week after the fatal shooting of Pastor Ricky Floyd outside of Mama's Bar and Kitchen in South Memphis. Now, she's accused of pulling the trigger after Memphis police say she and Pastor Floyd got into a heated argument. Marion is charged with voluntary manslaughter. Today, she was released from jail after posting a $100,000 bond. When she appeared in court on Thursday, she told the court she was not sure if she or her family could pay that amount. Take a listen to what she had to say to WREG when she walked out of jail today. Miss Marion, do you have any comment?
Can you tell us what happened?
No comment. Now, Samantha Marion has been released on bond, but this court case is only just beginning. Reporting live from the Shelby County Jail East Women's Facility for your news leader, Raven Copeland, WREG.
Perfect Strangers. The black version. I like the old Perfect Strangers with Balky. That was the show, man. Perfect Strangers. Remember Perfect Strangers, man? That was the show, man. Wow, 86. Wow.
Sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change. No matter what the odds are this time, nothing's gonna stand in my way. This flame in my heart is like a long lost friend, gives every dark street a light at the end. Standing tall on the wings of my dream, rise and fall on the wings of my dream. Through the rain and thunder, the wind and haze, I'm bound for better days. My life, my dream, nothing gonna stop me, nothing gonna stop me. My life, my dream, nothing gonna stop me now.
Man, them songs used to be so good. Those theme songs used to be so good back in the day. Oh, man, that was a beautiful song, man. That was a beautiful song. What a beautiful... I used to love Perfect Strangers, man. Those was the days, man. Oh, those was the days, man. They weren't perfect, but man, those were the days. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Those was the days, man.
Recent string of attacks and vandalism involving Teslas. We wanted to hear from local owners about what they think about driving these vehicles around. 8 News Now reporter Kamari Esquera hearing from some who say this is causing them more harm than good. Kamari.
Yes, the Tesla owners that I spoke with today say that although the vandalisms are concerning, it won't make them give up the popular electric cars.
I just think that people have nothing better to do. It's silly.
Damaging people's personal property just absolutely makes no sense, and there's no justification for it, no matter where you land politically.
Tesla owners reacting to multiple Teslas set on fire in the Southwest Valley.
It's a little screwed up.
It doesn't have anything to do with people who are driving Teslas. They're just driving them because they like the car.
Well, it's crazy. I don't understand why they're doing it. They're hurting people's personal property. If they're trying to hurt Elon Musk and Tesla, it makes no sense.
Tesla owners we spoke to say despite the vandalism, they're not giving up their beloved cars.
Absolutely not. This thing's awesome. I love the Tesla. I'm sticking with Tesla for sure.
I mean, I love driving my car. It doesn't make me feel like I'm in danger.
I'm not the biggest fan of Elon right now, but as far as the car goes, best car I've ever owned.
The most common sentiment among the Tesla owners we spoke with are they appreciate saving money on gas. Reporting near Paradise and Desert Inn, Kamari Esquera, 8 News Now.
Right.
This is some maniacal shit, man. The fact that this is actually happening is insane. It just shows you how much the liberals run the media. This is a huge story. This is a huge story.
For you right now on 8 News Now. 8 News Now investigator Kyle Payne standing by in studio.
Kamari Esquera talking to Tesla owners. We begin with Ryan Tizbaneski. He's live from Metro headquarters with the latest on this investigation. Ryan.
David, Ozzy, no word from Metro Police about an arrest as they continue to investigate this alongside the FBI as a possible act of terrorism. They say the suspect used Molotov cocktails and a gun to shoot into the Teslas and also set them on fire. Metro Police released a video showing the suspect dressed in all black walking around the Teslas after one of them ignites. A loud noise is heard, which Metro Police believe is the sound of a gunshot. They say the suspect fired at least 3 rounds into different Teslas, and they found a Molotov that did not ignite inside one of those cars. At least 5 Teslas were damaged, with 2 of them reduced to melted metal and burned interiors. Clark County firefighters were able to extinguish the flames before they got to the lithium batteries, which they say is critical to stopping a car fire. Metro Police working with the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force. They're using increased resources and are also stepping up security throughout the valley.
Look, resist. This is unacceptable, man. This is unacceptable. You're just burning people's cars. This is unacceptable. How long does this get to go on before Republicans make a fuss about it?
Valley.
As a precaution, like we do on many of these types of incidents, we've increased our police presence, in particular at Tesla locations or any Tesla-related locations in the Valley. We've also enacted our major case protocol, which brings together a tremendous amount of resources to conduct a 24/7 investigation and try to bring accountability to the person or persons responsible as quickly as possible.
When they got to the scene, investigators found the word resist spray painted on the entrance of the Tesla service center. Corrin says investigators are working with Tesla to extract video recordings from the damaged cars. This FBI special agent in charge of the Las Vegas field office issued a warning to anyone inspired by this, saying that it's a federal crime and they will find you and will prosecute you to the full extent of the law. Reporting live outside Metro headquarters, Ryan Tizbaneski, 8 News Now.
Ooh.
And the woman believed to be, or the man rather, believed to be the last to have been seen with that missing
Oh, I haven't followed this case, man. This broad that went missing, I haven't followed this case. I haven't followed that case. I don't know. Missing Indian bride. She been missing this long. She dead. If she been missing this long, she dead.
With breaking news.
The strange story, an attempted takeover by swarms of teenagers at a hangout spot inside Meadows Mall sparks concern about wider trouble and a heavy police presence that you're seeing here to prevent it. This happened at a business called Round One Arcade, which has video games, bowling, and a karaoke bar inside the mall. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. That's what they're known for, but tonight it was a much different scene. News 3's Georgia Costa has more from the venue.
Yeah, there's still a bit of a police presence out here as Metro remains out on scene to keep an eye on the area. But it was hours ago when swarms of teens attempted to, quote, shut down the Round One here, and it all sparked out of a social media post.
I was dropping my sister off. I thought they was having like an event, but I guess it wasn't.
That is the reaction of just one of many concerned individuals who just after 5 o'clock Monday evening were shocked, questioning the heavy police presence outside of Round One at Meadows Mall. According to dispatch reports from Las Vegas Metro Police, officers responded to the area around 5 p.m. citing a group of teens had live streamed on Instagram, encouraging others to show up to the mall for a, quote, takeover.
Yeah, I thought they was having like something at the Round One, a event for the kids for spring break for the kids.
Now, in an emailed statement issued by Round One district manager, they reveal the venue has implemented an age restriction of 21 plus, saying all minors must be accompanied by a guardian who is at least 25 years old. And also says due to the concern over spring break, Metro's presence was requested at this location. However, some concerned community members say more resources are needed for minors across the Las Vegas Valley to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future.
They should have free concert for the kids, free lunch.
Future.
They should have free concert for the kids, free lunch. I don't know, have like have a speech, have like, let's teach the kids cryptocurrency. Like, let's do something in this, like,
in the future.
They should have free concert for the kids, free lunch. I don't know, have like have a speech, have like, let's teach the kids cryptocurrency. Like, let's do something in this, like, I don't know. They do nothing in Vegas. They teach the kids to do other things. They just need more stuff for the kids to do, honestly, because it's all about the kids. That's who we raise. It takes a community. You know, they could be your kid out there.
Now, in addition to the statement from Round One, I also reached out to Meadows Mall for comments, but I'm still waiting to hear back. Now, Metro Police has not released any information whether any arrests or citations were issued. But for now, reporting from Meadows Mall, George Acosta, News 3.
My God. My God. My God, my God, my God.
Been 4 years since someone threw acid into a young woman's face on Long Island. 4 years of battling intense medical treatment. And yet all of this time later, the suspect has yet to be caught. For Nafaya Ikram, every day.
Yeah, this is what happens. They bring this stuff. Think about how many surgeries she's had to just look like that. This is another thing they're gonna bring with them. This throwing acid in your face. This is big over there, in their part of the world, in the Middle East and India. This is huge. This is everyday shit. You hear me?
Marks a new challenge in a road to recovery. And while she says she has made progress, she says now is the time for the suspect who attacked her to surrender. Eyewitness News reporter Stacey Sager has the story.
I'm already tormenting myself because I don't know who did this to me. Imagine what the person that did this to me is going through suffering. Nafia.
Can we just take their right to vote now? Can we just revoke the 19th Amendment right now? Press 1. And hit the like button. Support the channel. Take the challenge, man. Take the pledge. Support the channel via PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. Make sure you hit the like button.
Ikram, now 26, and hoping the power of that guilty conscience will somehow bring closure in this case, one that's been both horrible.
Time for the suspect who attacked her to surrender. Eyewitness News reporter Stacey Sager has the story.
I'm already tormenting myself because I don't know who did this to me. Imagine what the person that did this to me is going through suffering.
Nafia Ikram, now 26, and hoping the power of that guilty conscience will somehow bring closure in this case, one that's been both horrifying and
Wow. That's so fucked up that happened to that girl, man. Jesus Christ. This is what they do in that part of the world, though. Like if a dude try to holler at a girl and she curbs him, he'll come back and throw acid in her face, especially in India. In India, that shit is real like that. Damn. They did good surgeries on her, man. Shout out to the surgeons, man.
horrifying and baffling to her for 4 years now.
It's the anniversary, but if I allow myself to sulk, I'm giving this person power over me, and I'm not doing that anymore.
It was March 17th, 2021 here in Elmont, and in grainy surveillance video you see Nafia coming home. Someone runs up behind her in her own driveway and throws acid on her face. This was the police commissioner back then.
My advice is surrender yourself now because we're coming for you.
But that never happened. There were flyers in both English and Arabic, pictures of a red Nissan from the crime scene. But now, 4 years later, Nafia says police have only grilled her and her own father about the case, even unexpectedly bringing him to FBI headquarters for a lie detector.
He might have did that shit. He might have been the one who did that shit. Honor killing. Maybe she did something he didn't like, and that was like an honor killing or something. Maybe an honor. But that dude who ran up on her looked kind of spry. He looked kind of spry. He looked like a younger guy. Maybe some guy whose advances she rejected. Some guy from her part of the world.
Test a few months ago.
That was not a pleasant situation at all, and he was surprised. He was very surprised that he had to go through that.
They're trying to make it seem like he's like not telling them all of what happened, and that's what they were doing to me the first year that this happened.
Late today, the Nassau Police Commissioner insisting the department has devoted tremendous investigative resources towards this horrific attack, and that, quote, we will not rest until the person or persons responsible are apprehended. Nafia still struggling with poor vision in her right eye and the scarring on her face, but mostly fear that without an arrest, the emotional scars will take far longer than the physical ones to heal. I'm Stacey Sager, Channel 7.
Press 1 if you think the dad had something to do with it. Wow. Yeah, man. Over there, though, it'd be like a lot of this shit happen because they want to marry you off to a certain family. And if you say no, you don't want to be married to this guy, then they kill you or some shit. Or if you date somebody before you get married, they kill you. She got off easy though. She got off lucky though, man. Usually they kill your ass, but they do this shit too.
Police are looking for 2 men accused of robbing a clothing store in Washington Heights. Their weapon of choice, pepper spray. The ordeal left employees coughing with burning eyes. Eyewitness News reporter Shantae Land spoke with the manager, and she's live in Washington Heights with more. Shantae?
Sandra, I did speak with the manager today, and she pretty much said her eyes were burning, as you just described. They sprayed it on the floor, and from the floor, as they distracted everyone, they grabbed all of the clothes off of this table and made a mad dash out the front door. A store robbery in Washington Heights caught on camera. But it's how it happened by these two men that's leaving customers and staff on edge.
That's pretty scary. You don't know what they come in here with.
Watch as this man in a black coat quickly turns and sprays chemicals on the ground.
It was here. He sprayed some over here. Right here.
It happened inside Snipes Sports Apparel and Sneaker Store on West 181st Street and Wadsworth Avenue. Manager Rangeli Richardson was inside the store at the time.
As soon as I came, I got over here like midway and I couldn't even breathe.
Customers seen walking in immediately coughing as Richardson says the thieves then grabbed a pile of clothes at the display table and made their getaway. The thief doing a quick spin before flashing a gun to the employee to stop her from stopping him.
He was like, "Oh, you don't want this. You don't want to lose your life." So, obviously nobody wants to lose their life over a job.
NYPD later realizing the chemical substance was likely pepper spray.
Coming in the store and knowing that happened, it's crazy.
Usually they just come in and then they just run out, but that was like the most they've done, pepper spray and then, pull out a gun.
Although the theft happened on February 19th, the brazen robbers are still on the loose. Police hope this newly released surveillance video of the pair will help identify and arrest them.
This was nothing new to me, honestly. Worse had happened to me before, so I was just worried about the staff because, it was a first experience for them, and I was just worried about them and their well-being.
In the Bronx, man, she not even bad, yo. She a regular Joan, man. She might even be like a 4. She like a 4 in the Bronx, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you, Jack. This is like what a 4 in the Bronx look like. I say a 5. She a 5. She a Bronx 5.
I was just worried about them and their well-being.
And if you recognize any of those two men in those videos, you're asked to call police. Crime Stoppers is offering a reward. Live in Washington Heights, Shantae Lands.
She off the charts in Philly. She off the charts. She ain't even on the scale in Philly. Man. Salute to my man, Muramasa. He says, bet they were son team. Oh, yeah, it was a son. They showed the picture. It was a son.
Police are looking for 2 men.
Yeah, where that nigga at, man? Where that ape at? There you go. Where that ape at? Yeah, this is the ape right here. Look at him.
Police hope this newly released
That ape, man.
Surveillance video of the
Walking
pair.
down the street. Did all that for some goddamn sweatpants and shit. They're going to shrink as soon as you wash them and shit.
This video of the pair will
What
help
up on that?
identify and arrest them.
This was
Another motherfucking nigga, man. 2 niggas.
That new plan now in effect, and it follows a rash of robberies and violence at the store in recent months, with officials now hoping the new rules will help keep shoppers safe.
Fox 6's Lisa Evers is live in Flatbush, Brooklyn, with reaction to this new rule. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Natasha and Steve. A lot of reaction to this for sure. Now, we are standing right in front of this Target here on Flatbush Avenue. It is actually just down the street from the McDonald's that made news last month when they started banning anyone from their restaurant under the age of 20 unless they were accompanied by an older adult. Now, Target is letting it be known that if you are under the age of 18, you are banned from the store unless you are there with an adult. And all of this is due to the tremendous disruptions due to shoppers. Now, this Target, like many of their locations, is a popular spot for residents, but when school lets out, shoppers tell us it becomes a wild and uncomfortable scene with screaming, shouting matches, and even physical fights. Signs.
Yeah, typical nigga behavior. Not even, she's describing baseline Negro behavior, especially from kids, younger Negroes. This is baseline. So baseline Negro behavior is banned.
due to shoppers. Now, this Target, like many of their locations, is a popular spot for residents, but when school lets out, shoppers tell us it becomes a wild and uncomfortable scene with screaming, shouting matches, and even physical fights. Signs are now posted in the windows of the Target on Flatbush Avenue at Avenue H that say all guests under the age of 18 must be accompanied by an adult. We spoke with shoppers who had mixed reactions, but mostly positive reactions. Here's what they told us.
If the kids are running around acting crazy, then they shouldn't be in there, because there's plenty of times when I'm here during the daytime and after school hours and they're just running around crazy.
I don't think it's necessarily like making it safer. I don't know. Some of the young kids can be trouble. They make trouble over here, they make trouble over there. The school kids, it's their store. I can't tell them what to do.
Now, some of the residents told us that they believe that this new policy will also help reduce the shoplifting problem, which they say has been a rampant and persistent issue here. Now, we reached out to Target's parent company and the corporate PR, but did not get a response. We're live in East Flatbush. I'm Lisa Evers, Fox 5 News. Steve and Natasha, back to you.
All right, thank
Dang. You niggas. Target going through it with niggas, man. Target is going through it with niggas.
Kids run in there, they make a mess, they're talking about drills and fighting, and I don't approve of that.
There's no disputing the reason why two of the more popular businesses in this Flatbush, Brooklyn neighborhood are banning teens 18 and younger who are not accompanied by an adult. Last month, we told you about the McDonald's on Flatbush Avenue, which did just that during after-school hours, following the lead of the Target store right around the corner, which implemented a similar ban around the clock.
I was assaulted in this Target right here. These children nowadays, they're doing smoking and attacking people. They're, stealing things and going in pockets and cutting pocketbooks.
It's a very highly trafficked area.
Kenneth Umbonu, president of the local business improvement district, says the no accompanied teens policy is necessary to protect the quality of life for residents, commuters, and shoppers.
Not all of them we would consider to be bad students or bad eggs, but there are some that regularly cause trouble.
I go to Lincoln High School.
But other people we spoke with,
I thought we was leaving this in 2024. I thought we was leaving, no offense to this young lady, but I thought we left that in 2024, man. I hate that. I hate that. That's one thing I hate. I hate that. Shout out to Muramasa. He says, it's always sun teens with them breeders going crazy. You won't see that in Long Island or some areas in Queens or Brooklyn. Never see tiger glider teens doing this. Yeah, and they still get punished. Because when they say teens, they mean all teens. No teens can go in there without a parent. All teens are punished. Glider teens, tiger teens, sand, desert demon teens. They're all punished because of the actions of people that do this to their hair. Jesus. Unbelievable. Salute to Mary
High
Mark.
school.
but other people we spoke with, teens and adults, question whether the policy is too broad.
The kids was doing, they was being ghetto in there. I would have shut it down too. But they gotta really be mindful because the other kids is not ghetto.
You're the other kids.
Yeah, I'm the other kids.
So does that mean that people 18 and older can't cause any type of chaos? I think it's absurd.
We feel that there's other measures that could be put in place. We're looking into other options, but we definitely don't think excluding a whole population of young people and customers is the right way to go.
That's crazy, man.
Kids run.
Big Trouble in Little Brooklyn. Big trouble. Shout out to Muramasa, man. Wow. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. Update.
Police say Danette Colbert now faces a second-degree murder charge in the death of a Kansas City reporter in town covering the Super Bowl.
But as Chris Welty reports, investigators say she didn't act alone.
Kenner police are confident Danette Colbert drugged Adam Mazzano when she met him in the French Quarter and robbed him when the pair went back to his Kenner hotel room. Police say surveillance video shows the pair enter his room.
Well, he was so happy. He thought he was about to get some ebony ass, man. He was about to get some ebony ass.
And Colbert leave alone. The Jefferson Parish Coroner's Office says preliminary toxicology results show Xanax and a blood alcohol level nearly 3 times the legal limit in Manzano's system.
So those combined effects is what causes where we are today.
The coroner classified Manzano's death as undetermined. Manzano was found face down in his hotel bed. Police say Xanax was also found in Colbert's Slidell home. The coroner cannot confirm the Xanax in Manzano's system came from the same batch found in Colbert's home.
There's a lot of dot connecting that's going to be done, not necessarily by our office, but there's a lot of work yet to be done, investigatory work.
Look, there's a lot of pieces in this puzzle. We recognize it's going to be a circumstantial case.
Kenner Police Chief Keith Conley says Colbert has a history of drugging victims and stealing from them, not only locally, but in Las Vegas as well. Conley is positive Colbert didn't act alone. On Friday, the U.S. Marshal's Office, Secret Service Task Force, and Kenner Police detectives arrested Ricky White, a Gretna native, at a hotel in Hollywood, Florida.
He was charged with the property crimes of simple robbery, access device fraud, illegal transmission of monetary funds, bank fraud, and computer fraud. So he's facing the same charges that Danette Colbert.
But not second-degree murder.
Can you elaborate on how Mr. White is connected to this case?
We found correspondence and information where they were going back and forth. So we think they were working hand in hand in concert with each other on this. So that's basically where I'm going to leave it.
Do you believe?
Wow. Wow.
Is breaking news.
A federal judge denies 2 last-minute motions to halt the execution of Jesse Hoffman. The only way left for him to avoid death tonight would be intervention from the U.S. Supreme Court.
Good evening, I'm Rob Manson.
And I'm Lauren McCoy. Without the intervention from the U.S. Supreme Court, Hoffman will be the first person in Louisiana executed by nitrogen hypoxia.
Andres Fuentes joins us live in Angola, where the state could carry out its first execution in 15 years.
And Rob, Lauren, look, the Attorney General's office says that they are very confident that the state will be executing Jesse Hoffman right here at Angola later this evening. I'm going to step out of the way, and so you guys can see this growing vigil that is happening right here just outside the gates of the Louisiana State Penitentiary. This is the Louisiana Interfaith Group Against Execution. They have been here for a few hours now and have been slowly growing and growing. This is a number of different faith leaders from across the state and even a few from across the country all here praying against this execution, but also for the family of Molly Elliott, the victim in this case. Back in the 90s, Hoffman was convicted for abducting ad executive Molly Elliott in New Orleans, raping her, and killing her in St. Tammany Parish, execution style. Hoffman has been on death row for decades now in the state today, moving forward with his execution by nitrogen hypoxia, the first time the state has used that method here in an execution. More details on how that will take place. The state tells us that he will be strapped to a gurney and fitted with a full face respirator. Pure nitrogen will be pumped into the mask, depriving him of oxygen until he dies. The nitrogen will be administered for 15 minutes or until his heartbeat flatlines for 5 minutes. I spoke a bit with some of the vigil leaders here outside of the penitentiary, and they tell me there's a lot that goes through not only executing an execution, but the other prisoners there on death row. Take a listen.
I was on death row on Saturday morning when Jesse had to say goodbye to his 55 friends on the row, going cell by cell to tell them goodbye. There were lots of tears flowing down the cheeks of a lot of those on the row who have come to know Jesse and who know who the person is that he is now. He was brought here when he was only 18 years old, and he's a very different person than he was, nearly 30 years ago.
And this execution is going forward despite complaints from not only this prayer group outside, but also a lot of advocacy groups across the country, and even Jesse Hoffman's own lawyer saying that this style of execution is cruel and unusual. But speaking with the Attorney General's office, they say that this is the first of at least 4 executions that the state hopes to do sometime this year, I should say. But for now, reporting live here in Angola, Andres Fuentes, Fox 8 Local First.
This is breaking news on WDSU.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Salah Kim. We interrupt your programming to bring you the latest in tonight's historic moment. The state has just used nitrogen hypoxia to execute a death row inmate, Jesse Hoffman. We do have a press conference we want to take you to, but before we do that, a quick reminder, the details in this press conference may be graphic and disturbing.
In accordance with the execution warrant issued by the 22nd Judicial District Court in St. Tammany Parish and the laws of the state of Louisiana, the execution of death row inmate Jesse Hoffman was carried out by nitrogen hypoxia tonight, March 18, 2025, at the Louisiana State Penitentiary. Mr. Hoffman was pronounced deceased by the West Feliciana Parish Coroner's Office at approximately 6:50 p.m. Mr. Hoffman was convicted of first-degree murder of Mary Margaret Molly Elliott on June 25, 1998, and in accordance with the jury recommendation, was sentenced to death on September 11, 1998. Beginning at 6:30 a.m. this morning, Mr. Hoffman had visitation with his family, his attorneys, and his spiritual advisor. At approximately 3:00 p.m., Mr. Hoffman's visitation with his family concluded, and Mr. Hoffman's attorney was permitted to remain with him till approximately 5:10 p.m. The attorney was allowed to return around 6 p.m. to advise Mr. Hoffman that he was denied relief from the U.S. Supreme Court. Mr. Hoffman's spiritual advisor remained with him the entire time and walked with him into the execution chamber. Mr. Hoffman declined a final meal. At approximately 6:12 p.m., Mr. Hoffman was escorted to the execution chamber, positioned on the gurney, and the mask that delivered the nitrogen was set in place. Mr. Hoffman's spiritual advisor was led into the execution chamber, and a member of the execution team remained inside the execution chamber with the spiritual advisor for security. Individuals from the Louisiana Department of Justice, Louisiana Governor's Office, the St. Tammany Parish District Attorney's Office, along with media representatives from the Advocate/Times-Picayune and WDSU witnessed Mr. Hoffman's execution. At approximately 6:20 p.m., the curtain to the witness chamber opened. Louisiana State Penitentiary Warden Darrell Vanoy provided Mr. Hoffman with the opportunity to make a last verbal statement. Mr. Hoffman declined a statement. At approximately 6:20 p.m., Warden Vanoy informed the witness that the state would now carry out the execution of condemned inmate Jesse Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman's spiritual advisor remained inside the execution chamber and carried out the previously approved written plan to assist Mr. Hoffman with the exercise of his spiritual beliefs. Nitrogen gas began to flow at approximately 6:21 p.m. and flowed for approximately 19 minutes. At approximately 6:40 p.m., the curtain to the witness chamber closed, and Mr. Hoffman's spiritual advisor was permitted time to remain in the execution chamber according to the written plan prior to the coroner entering the execution chamber. I believe it was 5 minutes. Subsequently, the curtain to the witness chamber opened, and Warden Benoit informed the witnesses that at approximately 6:50 p.m., the execution of Mr. Hoffman was carried out in accordance with the laws of the state of Louisiana. I'll now turn it over to Attorney General Moore.
This was Mary Margaret Murphy Elliott. She was known to her friends as Molly. On November 28th, 1996, on Thanksgiving Day, a duck hunter found Molly Elliott's naked, dead body abandoned on a makeshift dock where she had been shot in the head execution style after being kidnapped, robbed, terrorized, raped, and marched to this desolate spot for her death. Molly was brutally and mercilessly raped and murdered. She was only 28 years old. That was nearly 30 years ago. Tonight,
And that nigga got to live for 30 years. I don't understand how white people consider this a W. He said, the hell with you, M626. I was awake this whole time. The hell with you. This is not a W, man. This is not a W. This fucker lived for 30 years after he did that shit. We had to feed this fucker and make sure make sure he was safe and shit, and he had rights and shit. He should have been he should have had his head beaten in with a blunt object like a week after he did this shit.
justice was served for Molly Elliott and for the state of Louisiana. Molly's husband told USA Today, Molly was a cherished person who missed out on motherhood, a promising and successful career, and a life in the country on the property we bought together. Hers was a life that was so full of hope and promise for a beautiful future. The loss of Molly is a scar we will forever carry, and it will never heal. Governor Landry and I made a promise to the citizens of Louisiana and the family members of the victims of these heinous crimes that we would put them first and that we would follow the law. The last execution in Louisiana was in 2010 of Gerald Bourdillon, who waived all of his final appeals. Justice has been delayed for these victims and their families for far too long. I, along with my office, remain committed to ensuring that justice is carried out in all the death penalty cases. Jesse Hoffman was convicted and sentenced to death by a jury for his heinous crimes. He received multiple appeals. He received even more appeals and review in the last several days. Now he faces his ultimate judgment before God.
That fucker probably wouldn't have lasted 30 years on the streets if you would have just left him alone. White people are fucking retarded, man. Press 1, man. That fucker, you extended this guy's life 30 years.
This time we'll open it up to questions.
A historic day here in the state of Louisiana, the very first execution in about 15 years, the execution of Jesse Hoffman. At 6:50 tonight, Jesse Hoffman was executed by nitrogen hypoxia, the first one since in 15 years. Since 6:30 this morning.
And niggas gonna be mad about this. You waited 30 years to kill this nigga just for niggas to still be mad about it and shit. And still cry about it and shit. And try to act like he was innocent and shit. What a crazy system white people got, man. Y'all have some of the craziest shit. Y'all are crazy, man. Y'all are absolutely positively nuts. I ain't even gonna lie to you, man.
Well, it's a story that's capturing the attention coast to coast of America. A Louisiana man convicted
Why?
of rape and murder.
Why is this capturing the coast of America?
Well, it's a story that's capturing the attention coast to coast of America. A Louisiana man convicted of rape and murder could soon be executed as soon as next Tuesday.
Yeah, it would be our state's first execution in 15 years and the first time Louisiana uses a controversial execution method.
Yeah, but now the decision rests with the courts, who must decide if using nitrogen gas violates the inmate's rights. Louisiana First News Chief Investigator Andrew Epperson explores the debate from both sides.
I think a lot of people have waited a long time to see justice.
An execution method associated with mass murder. There's no right and there's no wrong.
As debates rage on, the fate of this man, Jesse Hoffman, rests in the courts.
This has to move quickly and that there are people waiting.
If the state has its way, Hoffman will be executed next week.
I still expect this to go forward next Tuesday.
Hoffman is a convicted murderer sentenced to death for the rape and murder of Molly Elliott in New Orleans back in 1996. Investigators say the then 18-year-old kidnapped Elliott, forced her to withdraw $200 from an ATM, took her to a remote area, and executed her, leaving her naked body behind.
This is the justice that was promised to these people under the law of Louisiana.
For some, the death penalty itself is the issue.
I think the death penalty is one of the biggest stains on us as a society.
For others, it's the method. Hoffman could be the first person in Louisiana executed by nitrogen hypoxia.
Today, you can honor that.
Yo, he's lucky, man. He's so lucky, man. They could torture him to death, man. They could put a tire around his neck and set him on fire. America, man. And listen, part of making America great again is bringing back the death penalty. Motherfuckers got to know that you can possibly get killed for that shit. People have to know that, man. That's part of bringing back, that's part of making America great again. Make America great again. America's gone way too soft, man. Way too soft. What's going on, Fisherman?
Nothing much. I thought I was going to go see if I could get a turkey in the morning, but I think I'm just going to say, fuck it. The weather's going to be bad. And this listening to this shit got me so annoyed. I figured I would get on here. This is pathetic. This execution could happen as soon as next Tuesday. It's like, motherfucker, he's been sitting there for 20-something years. What the fuck do you mean as soon as? Like, these reporters, I almost think like all these reporters they go through some sort of brainwashing, like Men in Black, look into the light shit or something, because they're all dumb as fuck. Like, is there not one good reporter in this entire country at any level?
Well, he is a black guy. You got to be careful what you say about him.
Not really, though. Like, if you just be a good reporter, just be a good reporter.
I mean, can we get some people to support the channel? We've only had one person hit the link tonight, man. One person take the pledge tonight. One person. Shout out to Muramasa, man. This is it. All this consternation over this fucking raggedy ass nigger is just insane, man.
How many sons killed somebody in Louisiana today?
Oh, a lot. Probably like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'd say at least like 5.
Okay.
And yet this shit somehow is the coast to coast. Everyone's wondering. Like, no one's wondering. Shut up. Like, these reporters are embarrassing.
I mean, what he did, regardless of what race the woman was, but the fact that she's white and we live in a country where it's white supremacy and all this and black bodies and all this shit. What he did, I mean, to literally execute that woman, leave her naked body on some dock somewhere, and then just go about his day as if nothing had happened. And they said he's had countless appeals. How much money that shit costs to fucking appeal a case?
Yeah, I guarantee you the government has spent more on this guy's life than it will on either one of ours by the time we're dead.
Well, that's one
Think
of the
about
things
that.
the liberals like to say. One of the things liberals like to say when you talk about the cost of life in prison versus execution, they like to say, "Oh well, executions cost more," and the reason why they cost more is because it takes you 30 fucking years to execute somebody. That's 30 years of appeals and shit.
Yeah, just kill his ass. You know he did it. Everyone knows he did it. He did it. They won't even tell us the evidence because they know it's overwhelming. He did the shit, put a fucking rope around his neck and fucking, as long as the trees are an inch taller than he is standing on his tippy toes hanging from it.
Capturing the attention coast to coast of America, a Louisiana man convicted of rape and murder could soon be executed as soon as next Tuesday.
Yeah, it would be our state's first execution in 15 years and the first time Louisiana uses a controversial execution method.
Yeah, but now the decision rests with the courts, who must decide if using nitrogen gas violates the inmates' rights. Louisiana First News Chief Investigator Andrew Epperson explores the debate from both sides.
I think a lot of people have waited a long time to see justice.
An execution method associated with mass murder. There's no right and there's no wrong.
As debates rage on, the fate of this man, Jesse Hoffman, rests in the courts.
This has to move quickly and that there are people waiting.
If the state has its way, Hoffman will be executed next week.
I still expect this to go forward next Tuesday.
Hoffman is a convicted murderer sentenced to death for the rape and murder of Molly Elliott in New Orleans back in 1996. Investigators say the then 18-year-old kidnapped Elliott, forced her to withdraw $200 from an ATM, took her to a remote area, and executed her, leaving her naked body behind.
This is the justice that was promised to these people under the law of Louisiana.
For some, the death penalty itself is the issue.
I think the death penalty is one of the biggest stains on us as a society.
For others, it's the method. Hoffman could be the first person in Louisiana executed by nitrogen hypoxia.
Today, you can honor that oath and remove the hurdles so that justice can be served.
Nobody's been executed in Louisiana in about 15 years because of legal battles and a shortage of lethal injection drugs. But a new law signed by Governor Jeff Landry paves the way for nitrogen gas.
We made an oath to uphold
a shortage of lethal injection.
We don't have the right drugs, so we can't do it. Give me a fucking revolver and some 22 shorts. I'll fucking put one in his ear and it'll be over. We don't have to talk about this anymore.
Nah, man. We got the drugs for it. It's 147 grain lead injection.
That's what I just said.
Directly into the brain.
That's literally what I just said.
We need to just get some rat poison. Fucking rat poison and fucking put it in his coffee. Just fucking whack his ass. Like, we didn't have the right drugs. Yo, you go to Home Depot and fucking Jesus Christ, man.
Daniel Penny didn't have any drugs and he killed that dude perfectly. You put somebody in a chokehold, hold it for a little longer than you're supposed to. It's a wrap, bro. It's painless.
Shout out to this guy Landry though. This fucking Landry guy. Shout out to Gouch Malo too. Gouch Malo in the building, man. Salute to Nile Volatile Ak is the best reporter and anchorman. Yeah, man. Salute, man. Shout out to this white guy. Don't give this white guy Landry his props. He brought that shit back. Make America great again. Bring back the death penalty.
Jeff Landry paves the way for nitrogen gas.
We made an oath to uphold the laws of our state.
A brief summary on the state's website details the process. A mask goes over an inmate's face, and oxygen is replaced by nitrogen gas. Medical officials say the inmate loses consciousness and dies.
And that's the reason why the state of Alabama had to act last night.
Alabama has executed 3 people with nitrogen gas, and officials there say the process went as expected.
It was horrific.
But a man who stood just feet away from the first American executed this way says it went differently.
They compared Kenny to a fish out of water, flapping around over and over and over again.
Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood is a death row spiritual advisor. One of his clients was Kenneth Smith. The Alabama man was sentenced to death for his role in a murder for hire plot against a pastor's wife. In January, Hood stood by as Smith took his final breaths.
As soon as they turned on the nitrogen, it was very clear. I could hear a hiss.
Hood describes the process as torture for the inmate and everyone watching.
Saliva, mucus, all sorts of things coming out of his mouth and his nose, hitting the.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, like.
They could use
Oh my God, heaven forbid.
Bro, they could use that same device they use to put down cattle. It's a little needle that shoots out. It's air. I think it's air powered or something. Instantly
No
kills.
Country for Old Men. Yeah, that's
It's a pneumatic
they
gun.
Could use that.
A pneumatic gun.
Yeah, it just uses
It's
compressed
an
air
instant
to
kill.
propel a rod.
Yeah.
In front of the mask, it looks like a waterfall coming down the inside of the mask of body fluid.
Hood advocates against the death penalty, but says nitrogen hypoxia was the most gruesome method in the 9 executions he's witnessed.
We are forcing corrections officers to participate in a horrific moment. We're asking journalists to go in there and document a horrific moment.
The courts are now deciding whether nitrogen hypoxia matches Hood's description. District Court Judge Shelley Dick issued a preliminary injunctions Tuesday, halting the execution. The ruling questions whether gassing violates Eighth Amendment rights.
Fucking shit stain right here could come up with a bunch of bullshit, and the whole state's got to halt future executions. Jeez, what a country, man.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, he's got glasses. He's got a beard, a suit. Look at all those books in the back. He obviously knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, he's smart. He's really smart.
Yeah, because somehow a spiritual advisor has a job.
Golly, man, this country is fucking
weird.
We need to go back. We need to fucking make it great again, man.
In a horrific moment, we're asking journalists to go in there and document a horrific moment.
The courts are now deciding whether nitrogen hypoxia matches Hood's description. District Court Judge Shelley Dick issued a preliminary injunction Tuesday, halting the execution. The ruling questions whether gassing violates Eighth Amendment rights.
There are people waiting essentially to grade her papers.
Attorney General Liz Murrill filed an appeal Wednesday saying these questions have already been answered.
I think this is just a last-ditch effort to avoid the execution.
Murrill says she expects more executions to happen in Louisiana this year, and Hoffman's will be the start of delivering justice to families.
I'm still expecting it to go forward.
An execution, drumming up the voices of many.
This is one of the more horrific methods.
Remove the hurdle so that justice may be served.
It'll ultimately be up to the courts. In Baton Rouge, Andrew Epperson, Louisiana.
Jesus Christ, man. Unfucking believable.
After nearly 30 years on death row, a Louisiana inmate has been executed, ending a 15-year hiatus in the state. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Devin Bartolotta.
And I'm Sherry Skipson. Jesse Hoffman is also now the first person in Louisiana and only fifth in the nation to be put to death by gas.
That controversial method and Hoffman's religious beliefs led to a flurry of court filings, but around 7 this evening, Hoffman's sentence was carried out.
Our Mike Pearlstein was at Angola and brings us more.
So for the first time in 15 years, Louisiana has executed a death row inmate here at Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola. Jesse Hoffman, who is 46 years old, was killed by nitrogen hypoxia. He was pronounced dead at 6:50 p.m. Now, leading up to the execution tonight, there was a long day of multiple last-ditch appeals, both in state, federal court, all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. Obviously, all of those appeals were denied, paving the way for the state's first execution, not only in 15 years, but with this new method of execution using nitrogen gas through a mask. We heard after the execution from several state officials, including Attorney General Liz Murrill, who said that she hopes that this paves the way for the death penalty to be carried out in the 55 other cases of men here on death row at Angola. She said that the legal procedures in each of those cases need to be handled individually, but now that this method of execution has been completed and passed all judicial review, that she hopes to get to those other cases and, as she said, carry out justice by the laws of Louisiana. Now, we heard extensive observations from two media reporters who were actually in the death room witnessing the execution.
Did see some twitching. I could see through the corner the way his face was laying on the gurney. I could see some blinking. His chest was moving up and
The arms, you know, their arms are sort of like at this angle, and he was pulling up, you know, sort of the whatever movement he was doing felt like he was pulling up on.
Where I was situated was in a media room, so we were not near the part of the Angola prison where this was carried out, nor were we allowed to the outside gate where there were about 30 to 40 protesters keeping a vigil. There, we understand, were chanting Buddhist chants and protesting the
Buddhist chants. The fuck is wrong with people?
Execution as a punishment. We heard from the Attorney General Liz Murrill that is fully within their right, but in her mind, she and the state are carrying out the laws of the state, which calls for when it is a conviction for first-degree murder and a death verdict by a jury to carry out the ultimate punishment, lethal execution by now, according to Louisiana's new protocol, nitrogen hypoxia. Reporting from Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola, Mike Pearlstein, WWL, Louisiana.
Jesus Christ.
Speaking of shocking video of New Orleans police.
Fucking Christ, man. What a fucking piece of shit fucking system this is, man. Let's see what the fuck. Okay, let's
Rockville County, a Heritage High School football player must prepare for his day in court.
He's ready to fight charges after recording a song aiming to settle a score. It's a story you see first on Fox 5, and Fox 5's Kevin Stewart is at the live desk with this one. Kevin?
Guys, battle raps and diss tracks are foundational to hip-hop. They involve boasting, jokes, even threats. But a teen and his family never thought his diss track would land him in jail.
The other guy got a couple of other licks in, and my son ended up with a big knot on the top of his forehead.
The Jez Lyles can't believe his 18-year-old son, Cortez, allegedly got jumped by a teammate on the Heritage High football team and ended up with a mugshot, charged with making a terroristic threat after posting this diss track on his Instagram page.
I'll beat his drop a diss and then I'll take his get a body bag or save his
'Cause I ain't Spanish. I'm a scorpion. The track came about after his parents told him not to fight.
What do y'all want him to
Powerful.
do? Come back to school and fight? We don't teach our kids that.
The same thing with the Kendrick Lamar and the Drake situation. The complete consensus was, Kendrick bodied.
Black culture is just,
This is literally like gliders have been reduced to fucking. This is the shit that the news talks about.
What's going on, my guy?
What's happening, man? How's everything, bro? My guy.
What's going on?
What's new, man?
Shit, same old shit. Why they wait so long to kill that nigga, man? That's just crazy.
I know, man. And then they still whining about it. Yeah, but when they put Kendrick on the Super Bowl, they legitimized a lot of bullshit in rap, a lot of rap bullshit, because his only song that's popping is a diss track. It's not like he got a bunch of hits and shit. It's just that diss track. So they legitimized rap beef and made it mainstream now, like even more so than it was before. So now this shit right here, you got these people talking about it. I don't blame these people for taking this route if they fucking, trying to get their son off. What a motley crew, man.
What do y'all want him to do? Come back to school and fight? We don't teach our kids that.
The same thing with the Kendrick Lamar and the Drake situation. The complete consensus was, Kendrick
You just
bodied
called it, bro.
Drake. So for that to be mentioned in the song and translated into something literal is egregious.
Lyles posted the recording back in November, but the other player's mother filed the charges last month, leading to Lyles' arrest on campus.
Why wait months and months and months? There would have been plenty of opportunities for him to do something.
Lyles is a senior hoping to join the Air Force, so his parents want to build a bridge with the other boy's family, hoping the bridge isn't over.
Anytime, any place, we could have a
The bridge is over. That's a diss track. The bridge is over.
Yeah, that's a rap song, huh? KRS-One?
Yeah, that was slick right there. How he slipped that in there.
Talk about this, try to come to some common resolution.
All right, now the charge is a misdemeanor. So far, we have been unsuccessful in reaching the mother who filed the charges. We will continue to update the story, but for now, live from the live desk, Kevin Stewart.
And to think all the stuff we talk about on here, like we're just this little pocket of random dudes, and we're the fucking weird ones.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, I got a salute. Remember, salute to be send niggas back to Africa. We gonna send
Back to
niggas
Africa?
El Salvador.
You Borgin.
That's El Salvador.
Yeah, if they start sending niggas to El Salvador, though, that's going to be a huge... You think you got problems now with them sending people to El Salvador. Wait till they start sending some sun turds over there. You're going to have real problems, especially with a Republican government or and then the liberals. Oh, my God. They're going to have blacks talking about, this is slavery all over again. They rounding us up. And I wouldn't do that if I was Trump. I wouldn't say
they would.
Sun turds over there.
They would burn the city down.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. We're too easily misled and riled up and led astray. It just would cause too much problems. It's too much. It ain't worth the goodwill he's earned over all these years to waste it on that. It'll be just like letting Chauvin go and shit, or pardoning Chauvin. Don't even waste your time.
There are new developments in the disappearance of University of
That's that
Pittsburgh
broad.
student.
Y'all want to hear about this broad, this Indian broad that is missing? Do y'all know anything about that?
I don't give a fuck.
I don't know anything.
Press 1 if you want me to cover this Indian broad that's missing.
She in like Mexico?
I don't know. I just seen it. I never really got into it. I never got into it because
she's in the ocean, as Ralphie May would say.
She's dead.
She's Norkling. She's Norkling right now.
Oh, Dominican Republic. Oh, okay. Yeah, he said only missing blondes. All right, so they don't want to do it. Only missing blondes. Okay.
A masked man in a hoodie opened fire on a home in Louisville and then took off. Nobody was hurt, and the home's owner doesn't know why his house was targeted. Surveillance footage from the home across the street captured the shooting. A man walking on the sidewalk stops, fires nearly a dozen shots, and then takes off. Another
I can
angle.
tell you what happened right here. If he doesn't know, if there's no teen in the house, if there's no teenager in the house, it was probably just a mistaken address. They got a bad address. You know, a lot of times that happens. They'll shoot up. They go to shoot up a house and they get the wrong address.
They did this to my babysitter one year.
When you were a baby? When you were a kid?
No, I wasn't in the house. It was at her house. They shot up her house for no reason. She's like a little old white lady. That was one of my babysitters.
Damn.
And then I had this big old sister babysitter for a while, and she freaking hated my guts. She like grabbed my book. She grabbed my book bag in the morning, just sling that shit across the room.
Wow.
I had a tiger babysitter.
Damn.
Shows him pointing the gun at the home. He appears to be wearing a black mask covering his face. Fox 4's David Centenry spoke with police and the homeowner, who says his son was home when all that shooting started. David?
Oh, the son is home.
Yeah, Stephen, that shooting took place in that residential neighborhood Monday morning. And right now, police are unsure if that gunman even has a connection to the home he shot up. Home surveillance video obtained by Fox 4 shows a masked man in a hoodie approaching a home off Kingston Drive in Louisville at 9:04 a.m. Monday. Additional footage shows the suspect turn toward the home and fire a gun. About a dozen shots. The shooter runs away. Louisville Police Department searching for him while trying to figure out the motive. So is the homeowner.
I want to whoop his to be honest. Yeah. And I want to ask him why he did it.
Ivanhoe Solorzano was not home when gunfire ripped through his front door. His 19-year-old son, however, was inside sleeping.
Like I said, we've been here for a long time, and we never, ever had issues with nobody, literally nobody.
Fox 4 speaking with a neighbor who heard the gunfire and
so there's a
called
19-year-old in the home. Like that's a huge red flag. Like they're not considering that he was the target. Like, what does he have to say about this? Is he denying?
He probably kept his mouth shut.
Yeah. Like.
Police.
I wanted to get away from it as fast as I could. I knew what it sounded like. And this is the first time that anything like this has happened. It's been a really quiet neighborhood until this point.
What we're trying to ascertain is who that suspect is, and we're looking for the community to help us provide any information that'll lead us there.
Louisville PD says it has not established any information indicating the gunman has any type of link to people living inside the home. It has not ruled out the shooting being random or the home mistaken for a different home.
It does not appear there's any links to the people in the home to the shooter.
Investigators canvassing the neighborhood in hopes of finding additional surveillance video and leads.
We don't want violent crime in this community, and we take it very seriously.
I was just shocked, man. Like, how can that happen in this neighborhood? It's really quiet.
As for Solorzano,
that's my hope that I was at wrong house.
He's grateful no one was hurt, but feels a range of emotions.
Really mad, and I just want to let the police do the job and get him, and then ask him why. Regardless, he's going to be behind the bars.
So again, no arrests have been made, but if you have any information about that shooter or maybe anyone else involved, you can give Louisville Police Department a call. For now, Steve, back to you.
All right, David Centenry in Louisville.
That's crazy. Jeez.
Former Robbins police chief Carl Scott appeared in criminal court today for a hearing in connection to a disturbing attack where he's accused of beating a man inside Village Hall. That victim was also in court, and he spoke to our Andrew Ramos. Andrew?
Hey there, Marie. Now, this marks the first time since that attack in July the victim came face-to-face with Carl Scott, who he says brutally assaulted him in a back room of the Robbins police station. While he says he's still traumatized, he's determined now more than ever to get justice.
It was overwhelming, the entire feeling. I was definitely uncomfortable.
It's been more than 8 months since James Snow crossed paths with former ex-Robbins police chief Carl Scott. The last time he saw him, Snow says he thought he was going to die, recounting his story to CBS News Chicago back in July.
Took me in this room, slammed me down on like this little metal plate where you sit at, and they just start beating me.
How you doing, officer?
The attack was the disturbing outcome of a visit to Robbins Village Hall last summer, where Snow says he was simply exercising his First Amendment right. As a so-called First Amendment auditor, where he films interactions with law enforcement officers and city employees on government property.
Okay, right now you have to leave. When he asked the officer to go get a baton, man, I was like, oh, he'll probably beat me to death.
Since our interview and an investigation by the Cook County Sheriff's Office, Scott was charged with multiple offenses, including aggravated battery, official misconduct, and obstruction of justice for attempting to destroy Snow's cell phone, which had recorded some of the assault. That cell phone, prosecutors say, was taken by Scott and thrown into a sewer drain after the attack.
After what he did, it was no shock to me because, I mean, what could you do worse than what you had already done?
Snow and his attorney, Jed Stone, were both in Cook County Criminal Court to sit in on Scott's pretrial hearing, where Scott was successfully served with a civil lawsuit in connection to the attack that they say should have never happened.
This isn't some rookie cop that didn't know the difference. He was the chief of police of the village, and he beat my client.
I don't believe that anybody from the city of Robbins will encounter something like this again because they see what's going on. We're not going to tolerate that. The justice system is obviously not tolerating that.
Now, Carl Scott resigned as police chief just days after that attack in Village Hall. He is due back in court on May 5th, where a trial date is expected to be set. Reporting in the newsroom, Andrew Ramos, CBS News Chicago.
Andrew, thank you.
Salute to my man. Salute to my man.
This evening, two people are
in the hood, man. Shout out to you, bro. This is
covering following a drive-by shooting in North Philly. CBS Philadelphia's Aziza Shuler spoke to a family that was absolutely shaken after bullets struck their apartment last night with children in the living room.
They don't have a soul. We just ask God to put his hands on them.
Renee Cuffey comforts her sister Betty, who was distraught after visiting her daughter in the hospital. Cuffey says her 36-year-old niece was watching TV in her living room with her 4 young children last night at 8:30 when bullets flew through the window and walls. She was shot in the shoulder, but fortunately her children are unharmed.
The kids are probably traumatized when they do shooting or whatever. You don't know what house they're going to hit. You don't know where the kids sitting at behind the doors. So I'd rather you not do it.
Witnesses told officers a dark-colored SUV drove up Howard Street between Huntingdon and Lehigh Avenue and fired shots from the vehicle. Police are working to identify the suspects. By Tuesday, at least a dozen bullet holes riddled the outside of the apartment building. Cuffey's niece lives on the first floor, and she said this is not the first time their home had been targeted.
She didn't get hit the first time, but this time she got hit.
An apartment on the second floor was also hit. A bullet pierced through the window, striking a man in the head as he was lying on the couch. Police say he's in critical condition.
I just heard shots. I just took
What
cover.
aim?
That's common. We're in Philly.
common.
Stuff like that is violence. Really everywhere.
According to
wow, that's common. Wow.
So he got shot in the head and he survived.
No, this ain't the guy who got shot in the head though. This is another neighbor. But yeah, I mean, we don't know what condition that guy is. Surviving is just mean you breathing. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he's in a coma.
really everywhere.
According to Philadelphia police data, violent crimes are down in the city, with homicides dropping 38% from this time last
that's
year.
good.
But
That's
for this
good.
community, those statistics offer little relief as they struggle to process a frightening.
Because relatively, it's down for a black city, but it's still a black city.
And is it really down?
Night.
Like, how are we collecting that data?
The homicides are down.
I just always wonder now.
I mean, you're either dead or you're not. You're either body there or you're not,
I mean, there's just a lot of ways you can lie with statistics.
Yeah,
They could mess with like the jurisdiction lines and shit like that.
Yeah, but like with homicides, it's a little harder to do that with homicide. But yeah.
In North Philadelphia, Aziza Schuler, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Born and raised on playgrounds where I spend most of my days.
Every time.
I'm telling you.
Slapping Chris Rock outside of the school.
Right. Man.
Been following about an Orange County couple detained after living here in the U.S. for 35 years. The family says their parents are now expected to be deported to Colombia by the end of this month. NBC4's Hetty Chang is live right now in Newport Beach with what we've learned about this particular case. Hetty.
Colleen, I spoke with Stephanie Gonzalez today. She tells me that her parents, Gladys and Nelson, are at a detention center now in Louisiana. Now, an ICE spokesperson today confirmed what the family told us last week, that neither has a criminal history, but that spokesperson says they are violating immigration law and both have final orders of removal.
Me rompe el corazón. Porque
Stephanie Gonzalez shares her family's heartbreak. She says her parents, Gladys and Nelson, have lived in Southern California for 35 years. She says they're good people who paid their taxes, raised a wonderful family in Laguna Niguel, and recently became first-time grandparents.
Why didn't they become citizens?
That's a great question. Because they
It's
didn't
not
have
that
to.
arduous of a process.
They probably didn't have to. Like they were coasting along with the way things were.
Or they were incentivized not to. They were benefiting from not being citizens.
Yeah.
To the U.S. from Colombia illegally. And the family says during a routine check-in with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, their parents were both detained February 21st, and they're now scheduled to be deported to Colombia by the end of the month.
el presidente de los Estados Unidos prometió que él iba a
Gonzalez says President Donald Trump promised to take out criminals who have committed horrible crimes, and that's not the truth. She says her parents have no
Well, I
criminal.
mean, listen, yeah, he is doing that though. And you know, you and everyone else, like he gave him an inch with that language. He gave him an inch, and it's
Yeah, I mean, he did the leftist thing. You know, he used the language to create his own inroad.
Yeah.
History, and an ICE spokesperson did confirm that today in a statement, saying in part, as part of its routines operations, ICE arrests aliens who commit crimes. The statement goes on to emphasize and other individuals who have violated our nation's immigration laws. While immigration
They have.
enforcement have focused on those with criminal backgrounds initially, we are now starting to see what ICE calls additional priorities being carried out. ICE confirms an immigration judge found no legal basis to allow the Gonzaleses to stay in the U.S. and granted Gladys and Nelson voluntary departures in 2000. The
voluntary departures in 2000.
Gonzalez family says their parents tried everything they could to appeal their cases and find a pathway to citizenship, but they say they were given bad legal advice through that decades-long process. Now, 25 years later, the couple was taken into ICE custody.
So 25 years after they were told to self-deport, they're being you won. You got 25 extra years in America. Why are you complaining?
Bad legal advice. Like, what?
Right.
So you listen to bad advice for 25 years? You
That's
just
the implication.
go to the attorney's office like, oh, they gave me shitty advice again. I guess I'll go back home.
So you're saying 25 years? That's multiple bleeding heart Democratic presidential terms, and they couldn't figure out a path to citizenship in 25 years. Like really?
35. That's how long they've been
35.
here.
Excuse me. Okay.
They
Yeah.
were told to leave 25 years ago.
And and they couldn't figure that shit out in Obama's first term, Biden's or second term, Biden's first term. Come on now.
On February 21st to process a final order of removal. Gustavo Mora is an immigration attorney who does not represent the Gonzalez family, but says has many clients in the same situation.
Under the Trump administration, I have seen them be more aggressive. Yes, but realistically, this would be a justified removal order under any administration, because again, the courts found that they had no relief.
The Gonzalez family says they've exhausted all of their options and that the best thing they can do right now is help their parents prepare for a new life in Colombia once they're deported. The family has started a GoFundMe account to help their parents start a new life in Colombia. That account has raised more than $55,000. We're live in Newport Beach. Hetty Chang, NBC4 News.
All right. Breaking now on the news at 6.
Deuces, man.
Yeah, thanks for your hot daughters. Appreciate it.
Yeah, right. Facts. I'll give them that. And we gave him $55,000 of American GoFundMe money. Be thankful for that shit.
Fisherman, would you have kids with a non-white?
No. Maybe make one a single mom, but no.
That's fucked up. You're no better than a son, man.
Make sure you support the channel via PayPal, Cash App, or the Super Chat. Support the channel, fund the show, guys. Let's see if we get some more people to fund tonight's program.
Our future trial of Amy Bach is sparking renewed interest in Minneapolis City Council member Jamal Osman's potential connections to the $250 million fraud case. Our Laura Goose has been following this story from the very beginning and today obtained video of a 2021 celebration thrown in Bach's honor in which Osman accuses the Education Department of racism when they tried to stop this fraud.
Uh-oh.
This video of Amy Bach, the former executive director of Feeding Our Future, being celebrated, showered with praise, and literally awarded by the Minneapolis East African community.
Cover your face, woman.
Is being used as an exhibit in her trial by prosecutors. Part of their theory of Bach's motive for allegedly masterminding the $250 million meal fraud is that she craved what one trial witness called being treated like a god. This June 2021 celebration was held because Bach had just won a huge court ruling against the Minnesota Department of Education that prosecutors say allowed the meal fraud to continue another 6 months.
The money was immediately released. You all were paid as soon as we received it.
Along with people running alleged meal sites, the celebration was attended by State Senator Omar Fatah.
And I want to thank also Amy.
And Minneapolis City Council member Jamal Osman.
When I heard that MDE took this step to really stop feeding the kids in the middle of pandemic, my office had to do something.
In the video, Osman tells the room how he arranged a call with the MDE commissioner about their attempts to stop new meal sites.
But I'm one of those people that push back and call it what it is, which is racist tactics. I told her this money is actually from the federal.
Learn fast.
Your job is.
These motherfuckers learn fast. Okay, racism. Just try racism, and white people will give you what they want.
Racist tactics.
Wow. Jesus.
which really further muddies the waters.
Yeah, the word is out on you white folk, man. Streets know, man.
Is to distribute fairly to the communities that deserve.
At the time he delivered this speech, Osmond's wife, Ilo Amba, was in the middle of claiming to run a meal site of her own in this small office in downtown Minneapolis that the Minnesota Attorney General in this civil complaint calls a fraudulent shell company. Public
They're
records show
scamming.
Amba's nonprofit Urban Advantage Services received $460,000 in reimbursements between February and November 2021. The AG shut it down, citing participation in the meal fraud scheme. What's more, testimony and evidence in Bach's ongoing trial has shown Osmond and Amba signed over control of a different, dormant nonprofit they founded together called Stigma Free. Osmond writing to its new board, quote, "I have seen growth during the time that I have served, and I'm confident you will continue to grow this amazing organization in my absence." The men who took over Stigma Free are charged with using it immediately to rack up more than $13 million in meal fraud across the state.
Councilmember Osmond, you
quick.
agreed to sit down with me and talk about this week.
Osmond never returned follow-up calls or texts
Is Councilmember Jamal Osmond in the office today?
and could not be found to answer questions at City Council or at his home.
Now, neither Jamal Osmond nor his wife, Ilo Amba, have been charged with a crime. The U.S. Attorney's Office has not ruled out the possibility. The Attorney General's office shut down Amba's nonprofit, labeling it fraud in civil court. Jennifer.
And of course, that was back in November or
Mhm.
so of last year. Thanks for staying on top of this
Absolutely.
story, Lou.
I wonder if he
Now
fled
to
to
a developing
Somalia
story
or
out of
some
Fairfax
shit.
County.
A former
Yeah, that motherfucker. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. But those are some crafty motherfuckers, boy. Those damn East Africans, man. They look at America like a big fat punani.
They're very
Now to a
Semitic.
developing story out of Fairfax County.
A former police officer is headed to jail after a judge sentenced him for killing a man suspected of shoplifting. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey explains the sentencing from outside the courthouse.
Former Fairfax County Police Sergeant Wesley Shiflett is behind bars tonight, sentenced to 3 years in prison in connection with the 2023 fatal shooting of unarmed shoplifter Timothy Johnson. You remember back in October, jurors found him not guilty of the most serious charge he faced, involuntary manslaughter, but they did find him guilty of reckless use of a firearm, and that's what he was sentenced for today.
This is a victory for everyone. And I don't say victory in any kind of loose term because it will not bring our son back. But I do want to acknowledge that this is historical and unprecedented. And for that, I am grateful.
Yo,
No, it's
let's
not.
stop this shit as if like a white man killing for black man, getting charged for killing a black man in the state of it. Stop this shit. Come on, mama. Come on, moms. Mom, please.
Timothy Johnson's mother reacting to the prison sentence for her son's killer. Judge Randy Bellows leading up to his decision by telling the packed courtroom, quote, "I recognize the finding the jury made that Sergeant Shiflett's conduct at the time he shot Timothy Johnson showed a reckless disregard for human life. The fatal gunfire came after former Sergeant Shiflett chased alleged shoplifting suspect Timothy Johnson through the Tysons Mall parking garage and into a grassy wooded area. In body camera video, Shiflett can be heard yelling at Johnson to get on the ground. During the trial,
So they're in this wooded area. These decisions that these cops got to make. I mean, cops get killed every day. They see it in
Ambushed.
the news. Yeah, this a myriad of ways. Somebody's running, pulls out a gun, shoots back blindly. Now you got some son man who's literally acting desperate as hell over some sunglasses. I think he stole some sunglasses. They got him on camera taking the sunglasses, putting them on, and walking out the store. So they keep saying allegedly, right? They keep saying alleged. But all the shoplifters on camera. So now the son man's is for a pair of glasses. But we're talking about like in 2021, they would have fucking given this son man a fucking job in a fucking apartment if they'd called him for that shit.
Yeah. The context is important.
And it's like he's running through the fucking woods now. You don't know where he is. He could have hopped out of nowhere and then you shoot his ass, which is perfectly understandable.
Shiflett testified he feared for his life. He said that Johnson didn't follow commands and that he fired twice when he saw Johnson reaching for his waistband. Johnson was unarmed.
Only
Before the
twice.
sentence was pronounced, Shiflett made a brief statement saying, quote, "I want to express my deepest and heartfelt condolences to the Johnson family. I recognize the immense pain they've been experiencing over the last 2 years and the grief they've faced in losing a loved one. I'm very sorry for their loss."
I'm sorry that your loved one stole on my shift and I had to fucking chase him because that was my duty as a cop. And then he ran into the woods and started reaching in his waistband. Probably pulling his pants up. You know what I'm saying? Probably trying to pull his pants up or some shit.
But prosecutors asking the judge for jail time to punish Shiflett for his recklessness with the firearm. Timothy Johnson's mother and other family members staying in the courtroom to watch as Shiflett was taken into custody.
It's accountability. You know, I don't think anybody should be above the law. In those moments where you have to make life and death decisions, your badge does not exonerate you from thinking about the life that you're taking on the other end.
So they summoned this up that, he was just some cop and was like, yeah, man, what y'all want to do today, man? Don't kill a black dude, man. Oh, we got a call, man. Somebody stole some glasses. Here's our chance. Like,
we should watch the body cam if it's up.
This is Tyson's Corner, man. This shit is nice, man. Out there, man. The worst thing they ever did was fucking put a goddamn fucking subway station out there. That shit. Now niggas go out there. It said the man, the body cam. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, they released the body cam. Here we go. Let's see. Where is it? Where's the body cam? Okay, here we go. Oh, this is after you've been shot. Okay. All right, here it is right here. This place is nice, Tyson's Corner. I'm talking about this legendary nice. Here he is right here. Okay, so he's walking fast as shit, trying to get out of them glasses. He's gone. Plainclothes officers followed Johnson into the parking garage and observed him go down the stairwell. He was gone. Plainclothes officers, damn. Oh, they running after him. Okay. He walking fast as hell. Here comes the uniform officer. Let's go into prison. He going to prison just for they. He going to prison over this shit. Ain't that a bitch? Ain't that a bitch? Uniform and plainclothes officer chased Johnson as he exited the parking garage. Dang, nigga. Fucking nigga. The officers continued the pursuit as Johnson changed direction and ran across Fashion Boulevard towards a wooded area. So he could have just gave up, man. Here go the glasses, man. Like, this nigga was going to camp. What was he going to do? Like, run into the bushes and camp out and start like a fire and shit and make camp, like, forage for like berries and shit while he was on the fucking run from the police and shit.
You say that shit like some men have forethought, bro. Like some men have this ability, the ability to not act purely on impulse.
He was going to build a shelter and she was going to live. He was going to like naked and afraid and shit. The Negro version and shit while you running from the cops and shit. Well, fucking helicopters circling over the little area where he's fucking hiding out at. While following Johnson into the wood line, both officers discharged their firearms. Johnson was struck in the chest one time. Also, multiple officers fired. So it wasn't just the officer that fired, it was multiple officers that fired. He was hit in the chest one time.
I couldn't see shit.
Yeah, it's tough.
You didn't see the officer drop his white hood and swastika?
I saw that part, but I didn't see the shooting. Damn, that's crazy. The officers in prison behind this situation.
Just listen to the emotional turmoil in his voice. Does that sound like somebody who wanted to do that?
Right. Unbelievable, man.
I think that's another pattern in and of itself, is the reaction of police officers, with the exception of the Sandra Blassie. Was that it?
Sandra Bland.
Whatever happened?
Man.
Whatever happened to her, or the shooter?
There was no shooter. She killed herself in prison. She hung herself in the holding cell.
Now you talking about the
I'm talking
paramedics,
about
right?
Sandra Dassey.
Nah, you
Massey. He's almost Sonia Massey.
Sonia Massey, yeah.
Yeah, he's in jail. Yeah, he's in jail. That killer, that cop is in jail.
So boiling water's not a deadly weapon. That's cool. I'll remember that.
Tonight, details on a minor crash that escalated to a deadly scene in Philadelphia. Police say the driver of this U-Haul fled a fender bender and minutes later struck and killed a woman before ramming into a house. Tuesday night, I'm Shari Williams. Rick is off. The big story on Action News tonight is the U-Haul driver accused of hitting a woman in Kensington and then trying to run away from the scene. Action News reporter Brianna Gallagher now live at Philadelphia Police Headquarters with the sequence of events, Brianna, connected to this deadly crash.
Yeah, Shari, and tonight the driver of that U-Haul is under arrest, but police say this tragedy all could have been prevented.
Very, very tragic accident. All fatal accidents are tragic, but this one was very preventable. This started as a minor fender bender about a block and a half away at Kensington and Allegheny. The driver would have just remained on scene.
According to Philadelphia police, around 4:30 this afternoon, a U-Haul was involved in a minor accident with another vehicle at Kensington and Allegheny. Officials say the drivers both got out of their vehicles, but then the driver of the U-Haul got back in the truck and fled the scene towards the 1800 block of East Cambria Street.
After making that left turn, it appears that the U-Haul driver lost control of the U-Haul and it then jumped the curb, struck a pedestrian. It appears that she was walking on the sidewalk when she was struck and run over.
Officials say the U-Haul
Wow. Salute to Andy Armour, man, taking the pledge, man. Shout out to Andy Armour, man. Support the channel via PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat, man. Help a brother out, man.
through a fence before it ultimately came to a rest after crashing into the side of a home. Luckily, no one inside was hurt. A witness nearby was walking on the sidewalk when she heard a loud screech.
Really, really fast because way over the speed limit. He screeched tires right here. And that's what made me turn around and look in the first place. It was absolutely terrifying. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that before or seen anything like that before. I felt the ground shake when he hit the building.
Police say thanks to witnesses of the first accident, they flagged down 24th District officers who apprehended the driver of the U-Haul after a 2-block foot chase.
Smashed into the side of the building. The guy got out of the car, then had the whereabouts to come back, grab his backpack, and he ran out that way.
Now, police have not yet identified the woman who was hit and killed tonight, but we do know 2 suspects were taken into custody, one being the 28-year-old male driver of the U-Haul and the passenger. We're live outside of Philadelphia Police Headquarters. Brianna Gallagher, Channel 6, Action News. Shari.
Okay, Brianna. Heart-stopping moments caught on video. A would-be thief takes aim, firing 2 bullets into a Delaware County store in retaliation for a failed robbery. Action News reporter Leland Pender now
In
shows us
retaliation for a
left
failed
behind
robbery.
at this East Lansdowne smoke shop.
The store owner tells me this happened right as they were closing. It was an attempted robbery that didn't work out the way the robber hoped, so he opened fire on the business. Now, thankfully, no one was.
Yo.
He couldn't just take the L, bro. Couldn't just take the L.
That's why people just don't understand Blackistan, man. If you ain't from Blackistan, man, don't never go to Blackistan. You wouldn't understand Blackistan, so stay the fuck out of Blackistan. Fucking rob you. Don't get the, you thwart his efforts. Now you got beef.
hurt, but that suspect is still at large. Video shows the moment a gunman opened fire on a smoke shop in East Lansdowne. Police say 2 bullets from a pistol pierced the front window and a door inside. An employee was too shaken up to speak on camera, but says just before the shooting, he denied the man's attempt at robbing the business.
Oh my God, I was so scared. Like I'm literally on the floor.
This woman frequents the bar next door. She was here early Sunday morning when the shots rang out. It was just after 12 midnight in the 700 block of Baltimore Heights.
This bar is actually a chill spot. That's why I was like shocked when I heard shots. I'm like, where is that coming from? You know, it was like crazy.
In this surveillance photo released by police, the man is almost covered from head to toe, but they hope someone in the public knows who this is. The smoke shop employee tells Action News they narrowly escaped being shot and were ultimately unharmed. Celebration next door when bar patrons found out.
We all took shots. We all definitely took shots. It was like I was relieved to know that nobody was hurt.
Today it was business as usual at the smoke shop and the bar, but the owner hopes the shooter is caught soon.
If he could do that to them, I'm the neighbor, he might probably could do it to me too.
And the owner of the smoke shop also tells me his employee did recognize that man as someone who'd been in the store before with a dog. If you have any information, you're asked to call East Lansdowne Police.
Yeah.
The smoke shop I go to, they just have a guy sleep in there, like at night. because they get broken into so often.
Wow.
Is he armed?
I'm not sure. I didn't ask. I doubt it.
We continue to follow a developing story out of Tempe, where an incident that started on the highway led to a massive police response at a popular resort. Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. For 12 News at 6, I'm Kadiba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. Within the last 30 minutes, Tempe police updated the situation. 12 News journalist Jade Cunningham is live now with the latest. Jade?
Hey, good evening. Yeah, we just heard from Tempe police about 10 minutes or so ago with an update as to what happened here earlier this afternoon. They're calling it a violent spree that started on the freeway and then escalated here at the resort. There's a lot of information, so please bear with me. But according to Tempe police, around 2 o'clock this afternoon, drivers on I-10, they say, saw a man waving a gun. This man, they say, was in a vehicle, and authorities say that man fired at one car. It was shot at through the windshield. Luckily, the driver was not hit. That driver was able to pull over and call 911. Meanwhile, the gunman, according to Tempe police, hops a fence, goes through the Tempe Diablo Stadium parking lot, and then to a lower level parking lot at the Marriott, where he confronts 2 employees, orders them to the ground, and fires at them. Remarkably, though, those employees were only hit by shrapnel. They were able to run away, get to safety, and they're now in stable condition. The gunman, though, according to Tempe police, continues to run around the resort, tries to carjack a driver at one point. The car, though, does not start. And authorities eventually arrive. They arrest the man without incident. Now, the gunman has been detained. Authorities only identifying the gunman as a man in his 30s. Right now, though, authorities are just trying to figure out why. Why did this man go on this shooting spree, starting on the freeway and then at the resort? So that is something that is still under investigation. For most of the day, 48th Street here was blocked off. It is back open. Authorities telling us, though, that it is only open to guests at the Marriott because there still is a scene. My photographer, Alexis, and I, we were able to go up there earlier and kind of see what was going on. There is a lower level parking lot, a parking lot for the nail salon and spa and La Hacienda parking lot that is completely blocked off at this time. There is a command unit up there still. So still very active scene over at the Marriott. Again, though, this is a developing situation, so stay with 12 News on air and online at 12news.com.
Salute to S Freak. He says, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Philly is nothing but a GTA server. I don't care what they say about the decrease in crime. Yeah, Philly, wild, man.
They should have never gave you niggas GTA, bro. They should have never gave you niggas GTA. Niggas living this shit out in real life, bro.
Yeah.
So the fear mongers of the 2000s were right. It's just not the demographic they might have assumed.
Yeah, we gonna do this anyway, though.
Yeah, the game doesn't matter.
Yeah, we are something else, man.
Put them on an island with a bunch of coconuts, and there'll be coconut drive-bys.
It's a crime shocking the community. A 15, 13, and 11-year-old accused of murder and posting video of it to social media. Tonight, only the 13-year-old was in custody, but just moments ago, Albuquerque police say they were able to find the 11-year-old. He's too young to be in police custody, so he was turned over to CYFD. News 13's Annalisa Pardo has details.
Well, police arrested 13-year-old Jonathan Overbay and 11-year-old Messiah Hayes. Police are still looking for the 15-year-old they say was also
Look
involved.
at the little white silhouettes, man. It's crazy. I seriously doubt these kids are white.
That is the
And we're not
certainly
showing the crash
hairstyle.
itself, but we do still want to warn our viewers that this video is still disturbing to watch.
Are you guys recording this?
Laughing and flashing a gun moments before police say 13-year-old Jonathan Overbay, 15-year-old William Garcia, and 11-year-old Messiah Hayes intentionally hit Scott Habermel, who was riding his bike to work at Sandia National Labs in May of last year, killing him.
Just bump him, bruh.
Like, you like bumping?
Yeah, just bump him. Go like 15, 20.
Originally deemed a traffic accident until two different kids saw the video online, one telling a parent, the other alerting a school official. Police believe the child with a gun had just turned 11 a week before this murder.
This is just another example of, what we're dealing with as law enforcement is dealing with these younger and younger kids that are getting involved in serious crime.
It comes amid the Bernalillo County District Attorney's push to reform the Children's Code, echoed by the Albuquerque mayor today.
This is why we have continued to say that our juvenile justice system is in desperate need of help.
House Bill 134, which had a number of the DA's proposals, failed to move through the Roundhouse earlier this month. In a 4-2 vote along party lines, a House committee tabled the bill.
Seeing the video was extremely disturbing.
Republican Albuquerque Representative Nicole Chavez was one of the sponsors for the bipartisan bill, saying it would have allowed minors to be charged with vehicular homicide, which may have applied to this case, calling its failure frustrating.
People don't understand that this is what juveniles are doing now, and they do not think that they're going to have any consequences.
Tonight, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham called the murder senseless violence that could have been prevented. She said in part, quote, "I am appalled that with less than a week remaining in the legislative session, lawmakers have not passed any substantive legislation to deal with juvenile crime, both urging citizens to call their lawmakers."
They should be asking them these questions of what they tried to do to address this issue, or what they didn't do.
Democratic lawmakers say there are still bills up for consideration that take a systematic approach to tackling juvenile crime.
It is not normal for an 11-year-old to do what we saw today in that video. We must do better. That's why we are fixing CYFD, and I urge the governor and I urge the executive branch to really take the work that we've done into account to ensure that this does not happen again.
13-year-old Overbay was arrested and is facing a number of charges, including murder. 15-year-old Garcia is facing similar charges, and APD is urging the public to help find him.
Will, I know you're watching this. Just turn yourself in.
APD says 11-year-old Messiah Hayes is too young to charge with murder, but they are working with the DA's office to see what charges he could face. In the meantime, Hayes will be placed in CYFD custody where he'll be given an evaluation. Back to you.
Annalisa, thank you. Albuquerque police say they had contact with Messiah Hayes last year, and News 13 covered at least one of those instances. Last May, just 12 days before the murder of bicyclist Habermel, police say Messiah Hayes and 3 teenagers crashed a stolen car into the Daily Needs convenience store on Indian School. After ramming that store twice, they jumped over the counters and grabbed cigarettes and alcohol. The single mother who had her car stolen in this crime was devastated to find it destroyed.
I was heartbroken because, again, this is my only mode of transportation, and to see how my car was used was heartbreaking because I work so hard for what I have.
Now, we don't have Hayes' birth date, so it's not clear if he was 10 years old at the time of this crime or had just turned 11. Police say Messiah Hayes was also involved in an incident last year where he shot at a person. We do not have details of that case.
Wow.
As Albuquerque
When he
police
was
searched
9?
for Hayes, they told us they were concerned that they might have had to use deadly force against an 11-year-old.
Yeah, that's a concern, all right. No bullshit.
Driver, open your window.
You think?
He can't be charged.
Just to put the police in that position after all the other shit they got to deal with.
And then if they shoot him, they can possibly go to prison.
With all the lawmaker bullshit, it's like, what the fuck, or what is the state supposed to do about this? Outside of the parents, there's nothing you can do about this. And there are no parents.
Shit is just a big mess. Juveniles. And they know it. They know they can get away with that shit.
They absolutely do. They've always known it.
That's why the 11-year-old's driving.
Well, that's why gang members used to recruit them young, to do dummy missions. They know that if they get caught, they're not going to serve any time.
Yep. It's crazy. And they still haven't fixed that. That's just, they haven't fixed it in 50 some odd years. That loophole. And you still got people talking about the prison, school to prison pipeline, which is horse shit. Wow.
They need to start having more field trips to prison for son kids just so they can see a glimpse of their future.
It's crazy, man.
Bring back Scared Straight.
Scared Straight was too light. Drop them off and say good luck.
Let them stay in the prison for like a week.
What a fucking big fucking mess we got going on here, man. Everybody hit the like button, man. Support the channel via PayPal, Cash App, or the Super Chat.
What would you do if your child was placed in handcuffs for crying at school? Well, this was a reality for a 7-year-old black boy in Missouri, and it isn't rare for black and brown kids across the country. Whether it's getting arrested for talking back or doodling on a desk, in-school policing is harming students by taking...
Vandalism.
Doodling on a desk. Salute to Barry B, man. Barry B in the building, man. Shout out to Barry B. Salute to Eric Gass, Op Nation Hall of Famer, coming through once again. Salute to Deluxe 247, aka Cal Ripken, aka the real MVP, coming through once again. Shout out to all you guys, man. Oh man, this is the way they frame this shit is just so disgusting. This is fucking disgusting to act like this is the reason black kids are being put in handcuffs.
What would you do if
It's
your child was placed in
propaganda.
handcuffs for crying at school? Well, this was a reality for a 7-year-old black boy in Missouri, and it isn't rare for black and brown kids across the country. Whether it's getting arrested for talking back or doodling on a desk, in-school policing is harming students by taking them out of school and helping funnel them into prisons.
Cops white.
It's called the School to Prison Pipeline. We're talking about a structure of codes and punishments that criminalizes kids as early as preschool and increases their chances of ending up in the criminal justice system. 99%
Before they
of New
can
York City school
breed.
children who were handcuffed in 2016
Disgusting.
were Black or Latinx. This happens when school
Latinx.
resource officers are called into classrooms to discipline students. Sometimes for something as small as violating a dress code or grabbing candy from a teacher's desk. If the offense
Stealing?
doesn't lead to an arrest, Black
Grabbing
Excuse me?
from a teacher's desk. Yo, this is disgusting. These people, these propagandists, boy, you know this ain't nothing but a bunch of liberal white women, man, that would rather fucking live in Antarctica than live around some niggas.
and brown students are still subject to harsher punishments than white students. Black students are 4 times more likely to be suspended than their white peers. Sometimes students
Damn,
are kicked
what
out
are they
of school
doing?
for being
Yeah, what? Not examining that was very smart though. Like just because usually they go in depth. This one they left it alone. But yeah, you just want to make it's this is disgusting, man. Salute to my man S Freak, man. He say You just can't win with some people. If you don't address crime, they complain they're being ignored. When the cops do their job, they cry racist. Pretty much, man. You don't know, either they don't know, won't show, or don't care about what's going on in the ghetto. Yeah, man.
There's so many bleeding hearts who would see this and, they would read that, say black students are 4 times more likely to be suspended than their white peers. Oh my God. Frank, did you know that? Like not even questioning the context of this.
You could
And the
replace
fact
the
that-
words too. Black students are 4 times more likely to attack their white peers.
Yeah, but you could also you got to look at it like this too. Obama came with No Child Left Behind, and he addressed the suspension thing. Now a black kid literally has to like kill somebody to get suspended. So we're talking about like that number should be probably 10 for every one white kid. I wonder what I would like to see the numbers before Obama's first term.
That's a great point. They probably definitely have to do some crazy shit to get suspended.
Yeah, because that was a big thing for him. That he addressed about the black kids, the disparity in suspension.
Sometimes students are kicked out of school for basically just being black. Like in cases across the country.
Yo, this is legit.
Where did this happen? Where did this happen?
Let me see the comment section. I gotta
Get out of here, you black bastard.
The criminal justice system is not the answer to misbehavior at school. Kids shouldn't have to live in unnecessary fear. Okay, so they're getting called out a little bit in the chat.
People aren't stupid.
Yeah, I've worked with black kids in the inner city. This isn't honest. Okay, so yeah, they getting called out. Jeez.
Where black girls were suspended for rocking braids or an afro. So, where do students go after they've been kicked out of school? Research shows they're 3 times more likely to end up in the juvenile justice system within a year. This is all part of an endless cycle.
And that's because they were suspended.
Once kids touch the
That's not because of the behavior that they've been exhibiting that also got them suspended. They're juvenile hall because they got suspended. The suspension is what derailed their life and put them in juvenile hall.
They also just don't want to go to school.
Insane, man.
the juvenile justice system, they're 67% more likely to end up in jail again before they're 25. So, what lessons are schools and police really teaching our kids here? How can kids excel in school if they're always being kicked out of them?
Wow, that was so fucking.
You know, I don't think they gave one example during that whole video.
He who opens the school door closes a prison.
I would like walk to class and then they would just put your hand out, like block you and tell you like you're a sheep or a cow or something. You know how cows, they gather in groups and stuff. They're like push you to class all that, and you say, "Oh, my class is this way," and then they're like,
It's called a
We
herd.
just
you
like
fucking-
cattle, dog.
push you towards a class that you don't even belong to.
We was cattle.
One of the new cops like that patrol all schools. So like one day he came to the school. So I'm like he was standing in the hallway. So I'm
The
going
music
class.
needs to
So he
chill
like,
out.
"Oh, why are you late?" He started like getting like loud with me. So I felt like small compared to him. Like if I get loud with him, he gonna call some other agents, and then it's gonna be a whole different situation.
Poor say dude, man. Can't catch a break.
The teacher gets to go in without being scanned, and then we have to be scanned. It's like we are the prisoners, and they are like
They're
prison guards.
adults.
I don't feel comfortable. Like when I go through metal detectors in the morning, it's like usually like crowded. The line ends up being long, and then we end up being late to school.
Man, that's a convenient
I
excuse.
feel like I'm in like prison or something.
As a society, we value education.
As a
At least
society.
we talk like we do. We
Jesus Christ,
recognize
Juice
that
Group.
education
Donald
is the
Group.
key to the future, and that children are our
This
future.
gonna be an anti-white
But we
fucking.
behave in quite a different way, at least with regard to some kids.
I have the whole 9 yards. We got security, we got metal detectors. Sometimes they upgrade the security almost every year. And it's radical in my school.
Tens of thousands of students in New York City pass through metal detectors every single day just going to school. That means that sometimes they're subjected to invasive searches and pat downs just because they're trying to get to class.
This is supposed to be school. Like, why are you treating me like I'm some kind of criminal or something in the school environment? And I'm supposed to be coming here to learn and gain my education, but
White
now
people are
I'm
racist.
coming in feeling like I'm going into prison.
There are more police in New York City public schools than in virtually every large city in the nation, including Boston, Washington, D.C., you name it.
There would be incidences where having cologne or wearing a certain necklace or having like a gay pride bracelet or something. There was like
Having cologne, man, gets you sent to prison, man. God damn, man, that's rough, man. White man, come on, white people, y'all need to cut this shit out, man. Leave
We're
our
complaining
black-
about metal detectors here.
Yeah, which keeps these kids.
Stop bringing weapons to school.
Yeah. And these kids know they feel safe. If there were no metal detectors, they'd be like, man, they took the metal detectors out of school. They don't care about it.
students would always be harassed and suspended for little minor infractions.
Like a jail cell, we're getting patted down, locked up, scared. Why can't we just come to school, get our education? Why we gotta be locked up? Why we gotta be discriminated because based on our race, or
Militaneous.
even have skin based on our race? Like, if you put it in a Caucasian neighborhood, I'm pretty sure they ain't gonna have skin in there, you know. But like,
Because in the Caucasian neighborhood, kids aren't getting shot at school. Kids aren't bringing guns to school.
Yeah,
And
she's
it's-
asking the right question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hang on. I will say this. I am a proponent of schools, all schools, having armed guards and metal detectors. Not just so much for insider threats, but for outsider threats.
Mm. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, but in order to, pay for that stuff and get it, the budget, because that stuff is expensive, you need like crimes being committed. A lot of schools, there's no need to put that in a line item in the budget because there's no crimes being committed at the school. But in a black school, it's like, yo, look at here. We need metal detectors. Okay, Brent, send me a report as to why you need a metal detector. And they send a report and it's like, oh shit, yeah, you need 2 metal detectors.
Come to a neighborhood like this, where there's people of color, they have scanning.
For poor children of color in our public schools here in New York City and in too many other places around the country, we treat the kids as if they're not the hope for the future, as if they're criminals in waiting.
Jesus Christ, I can't watch anymore of that shit. I'm sorry. I apologize. I can't watch any more of that.
I was wondering how old it was 10 years ago. That's
Yeah.
a bit ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Just Jesus Christ.
It's pathetic how they don't even try to answer those questions that the son girl was kind enough to ask. Why is any of this happening?
Oh wow. Another shooting.
But first tonight to breaking news. Metro Police have a home surrounded after gunfire erupts on Indy's near southeast side.
IMPD says it started as multiple calls about a fight between up to 10 teenagers. This happened at A&A Market on South State Street near East Raymond Street. Police found a man shot down the street and he's stable at the hospital. Metro Police say a second man shot later arrived at the hospital. He's also stable. Detectives say witnesses told them everyone else involved in the shooting ran to a nearby home. That's where they are at now while awaiting a search warrant. We're talking about the officers there as they begin to investigate this. So we're on top of the story for you as soon as we get further updates.
Teens, man.
One of these newscasters is gonna slip up one day. They're gonna say YNs.
Jeez. Man, another shooting. Wow.
2 men are hurt after a shooting on the city's south side. Police say a fight broke out on South State Avenue and Walker Avenue. At some point, someone opened fire. Both victims are stable. No arrests have been made. The names of everyone involved have not been released.
I don't even know what city that was. Jeez.
Next, a look into the poor state of education for the 60,000 children locked up in juvenile detention facilities across the nation. Ari Srinivasan takes us inside one state that's working to do better. It's another in our ongoing series, Broken Justice.
Graduation day in Lowell, Massachusetts, with all the typical fanfare, balloons, beaming parents, and motivational speeches.
You know, all of you were sitting there trying to figure out, okay, you know, where is this going to go? What am I going to be when I grow up? I guarantee you that every single adult in this room had the same thought at 17, 18, 19.
Yet these kids aren't like most graduating from high school this time of year. At some point in their young lives, each was convicted of a crime and sentenced to the care of the Department of Youth Services, the state's juvenile corrections agency. And though they've since earned back far more freedom, they graduate in custody.
Getting committed to DYS is a stressful time, and I'm proud of all of you and myself for sticking to what's important, getting an education and bettering ourselves.
On any given day across the country, 36,000 teenagers and young people are held in long-term state custody, more than 60 days, and 2/3 of them are Black and Latino. In the past 20 years, this incarcerated population...
It's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I wonder why it's so high.
population has dropped by about half, and many are now looking at how to improve education and thus outcomes for juveniles who end up in this system.
When you look at this population, they've been suspended multiple times, haven't progressed very far in the educational system, dropped out, been expelled, and we wanted to make sure that when these kids are coming back to the community, we knew education was key.
Michael Thompson is executive director of the Council of State Government's Justice Center, a nonprofit whose recent report looked at education in juvenile detention settings in all 50 states.
if you asked anybody on the street, you know, what's important to helping turn this kid's life around, they're going to say, well, you know, they need an education. So I think everybody assumes they get a certain quality of education while they're incarcerated, but it turns out this is not an educational system that is held accountable to the same kind of standards that the public education system is.
His group found large gaps
not
from
saying
state to
much.
state in education available to juvenile populations, and that only 1/3 of states require incarcerated kids meet the same educational standards as those in public schools.
We have art class, we have gym class, math, history, everything you'd find in a regular school, we have here as well.
One state that is doing better is Massachusetts by matching standards inside detention with what students would receive on the outside, tracking students' progress through the system and helping kids return to the community.
With me, I just have to actually lock this behind you. Yeah, so welcome to Judge Conley.
Lynn Allen runs the Judge John Connolly Detention Facility in Boston, the state's most restrictive. One advantage, unlike most states, Massachusetts centralizes juvenile education rather than spreading it among state, local, and private agencies.
I'm assuming some of these kids are in for pretty serious crime.
They are. This facility works with young men up to manslaughter charges. So we do have some kids who have a pretty good history behind them, but the charges that have brought you here don't have to define who you are.
In 2015, 17-year-old Josh was convicted of manslaughter. He spent the past 10 months at Connolly and has another 8 to go. Like the other 14 young men,
He got 18
lives on a
months.
secure detention floor. His movement
manslaughter.
constantly monitored.
Right, because the two lines are parallel.
But for 5.5 hours a day, he and the others are in school downstairs, attending academic classes like English and math. Vocational courses like AV engineering, aka DJing,
Shield protects the signal inside the wire.
or how to build copper wiring and Ethernet jacks. Josh recently began psychology classes online through Bunker Hill Community College, credits he hopes to put towards the University of California when he gets out.
Always wanted to go to California, and I skateboard, and I always wanted to go to college. So I feel like put them all together, that'll just be dope.
Is the goal of the state to make you realize the gravity of what you've done?
Yeah.
Is that going to happen while you're here and in class and taking an online course?
Well, for me, I just have goals for myself, and I definitely do feel bad for what happened, and you know, I definitely want to do better for the people. I have 2 younger brothers, so they look up to me, you know. And I have
I
people,
feel bad for what happened right there. That's already a red flag.
You just said, or for the people. Like, what does that mean? For the victims? It's
What
just saying
happened?
shit.
You mean what I did?
that see a lot in me, and I don't want to really let them down or myself down for that matter. So
They're coming back to communities. We want these kids to come out with the skills to succeed. Right? And we know they can succeed because they're amazingly resilient.
We're logged into your account.
Another key difference is Massachusetts' support through education coordinators and caseworkers, people assigned to guide each student into and out of this system, making sure education plans, grades, and credits transfer from and back to school.
When a kid who's incarcerated, you know, they're going to get out, you know, you ask the question then, well, how is that student going to follow up and enroll in school once they're released? And, you know, many of these schools, for reasons you can probably imagine, want nothing to do with the student when they come back. So the question then becomes, well, who's going to manage this transition? Who's going to do that? Well, it turns out that in most states, it's up to the parent and the kid to actually manage that transition.
Education and career counselor Kelly McMorrow works with Josh and about 75 other young men at any given time.
It seems in some ways that there are these big systemic forces weighing down on them by the time they get here, right? They've made a bad.
Oh yeah. You gonna go into detail about that, or?
Oh shit, man.
Was there a service or a program that they were
An
missing?
alarming new report based on a joint investigation by ProPublica and Nashville Public Radio. A decades-long system and practice of arresting and jailing mostly Black children in Rutherford, Tennessee. At the head, the mother of the county, as juvenile court judge Donna Scott Davenport sometimes called herself. That's according to this report. Now the judge calling her work quote, God's mission, while performing so-called God's mission as the head of the county's juvenile justice system, allegedly directing police to arrest children at an alarming rate. It was literally a school to jail pipeline, according to this article. Among cases referred to the juvenile court, the statewide average for how often children are locked up was just 5%, but in Rutherford County, it was 48%. Joining me
Shout out
now,
to
the
Rutherford
co-author
County,
of
man.
this report, this
Salute to Rutherford County, man. They should be getting praised. Why are they getting criticized? Shout out to Rutherford County, man. Keep doing what you do, man.
alarming report. Maraba, Knight of Nashville Public Radio. Maraba, welcome to BNC Live. First, it's a pleasure to have you. More importantly, thank you for exposing this. Walk us through how this story came about.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. So the incident you're talking about was a mass arrest in 2016 of 11 children that were taken in, all for watching a fight. The charge was criminal responsibility, which turned out to not even be a real charge, and we get more into those details in the story. But a number of children were swept up in this, and it was really the tip of the iceberg. It revealed something really troubling, a pattern in practice in this county that involved this judge and her appointed jailer that were sucking in huge numbers of children to the juvenile court and the juvenile detention center.
Well, let's talk about this pattern of practice. Were you surprised by what you uncovered?
Yes and no. I had been following the story for a few years. I had heard from lawyers that talked about the high numbers of children that were being detained and sucked into the system. But what really did surprise me was just how much oversight was lacking in this case. So I knew about what was happening in Rutherford County. I knew that this judge had directed law enforcement to, when children were arrested for whatever the alleged crime was, even if it was truancy, to take them to the detention center. And I knew that once they got to the detention center, there was this overly aggressive system that was taking a lot of them and saying that they were a threat and that they needed to be kept. But what did surprise me was that my co-reporter Ken Armstrong and I really found that the systems of oversight were woefully inadequate across the board. For instance, the Tennessee Department of Children's Services, they license every juvenile jail in the
She's not mentioning their ages, so I could assume they're 17 years old. Like that's dumb. And then she's focused on this one instance as if it represents a pattern of the police locking up kids.
And there's no, like, what happened that day? Like, what did they do? Like, what is the crime rate here? Like, what are the juvenile offenders? What is the race of the victims? Like, I mean, like, come on, man. This is disgusting, man. I'm glad we voted against this, man. This is where all this stuff was from Biden's term, Obama's term. This stuff is scary, man. Scary how disgusting this shit is, man. How this was mainstream and this was applauded. These type of things were applauded. You were given cookies for saying stupid shit like this.
Friday's shooting marked the third homicide of the year in Hartford. Religious leaders and community members are hoping and praying the violence ends soon.
My prayer and hope is that this will be a less violent summer and that these altercations and things will be decided in other ways. And
Hartford police are investigating the third deadly shooting in the city this year. Officers responded to shots fired on Friday night near 2121 Main Street, just outside the American Legion Post 142. That's where they found 35-year-old Myron Myers had been shot. Officers tried to resuscitate him there before he was sent off to the hospital, but he died a short time later. Friends of Myers didn't want to show their face on camera after what happened to him, but they say they're heartbroken and they'll miss him.
He was a good guy. He was a lovely person. Lovely. He'd give you the shirt off his back. I miss him so much. Everybody loved him.
Senior pastor at Urban Hope Refuge Church, A.J. Johnson, said gun violence impacts the whole community, and it's the reason why he and other city leaders are trying to put an end to this crisis.
when we experience gun violence in this community, it never just affects one person, it affects the entire community, and it sends shockwaves. And so my heart certainly goes out to his family and to the community that has to go through this.
Family members and loved ones are expected to gather for a vigil Wednesday night to remember Myers.
He had kids. He had a big family that loved him. I loved him. I knew him 5 years. I loved him.
The investigation into the murder of Myron Myers is still ongoing. Anyone with any information is urged to contact Hartford Police Department.
Damn you, gun violence. See how stupid that sounds?
Totally. Unbelievable. Any final thoughts, man?
Nah, thanks, Doc.
All right, man. Salute, man. Same black time, same black channel. I'm out of here. Subscribe.